Willkommen zum aktuellen Goldinvest-Interview. Wir sprechen heute mit Nigel Ferguson von AVZ Minerals, einem sehr interessanten Lithium Explorer, der das Manono-Projekt erkundet. Zuletzt gab es einige sehr interessante Neuigkeiten, unter anderem eine Scoping Study, und das wollen wir jetzt mal uns genauer erläutern lassen und mal hören, wie es dann weitergehen soll. Welcome, Nigel.
Thank you for having me.
Nigel, AVZ has been releasing a couple of interesting news over the last couple of days, weeks, most notably, though, the results from the first scoping study for Manono. Please give us a summary or your take on those results.
Yes, we released the 2 million tonne per annum study, which basically shows that for an investment of 150 odd million US dollars, we should be able to get this project into production. It also includes a sizable contingency of about $36 million. So we're hoping to refine those figures as we move into the feasibility study. But the key take home there is that we've got an IRR of 98% based on the work we've done, and that obviously makes AVZ an extremely compelling investment scenario. Further to this, the NPV 10% of AVZ's attributable 60% in the project is valued at approximately $1 billion. When you measure that with our circa 120 million US dollar market cap, it makes it a tremendous potential upside for investors in the project. But what we're really excited about is because of the size of Manono, we're looking at a 5 million tonne and a 10 million tonne per annum throughput. And those scoping studies are in production at the moment. We should have those sorted out within the next 3 months.
Okay. So you're certainly putting in the work. And these are certainly very interesting, or let's say spectacular numbers. When we focus on the OPEX side, though, it's hard not to notice that the transportation cost is pretty high. Well, because the project is far from the next port. Can you tell us which transportation routes you have considered and which one you choose and why?
Yes, certainly. We've chosen the most logical route to market, which is directly east from us, is the port of Dar es Salaam. If you compare that to where the copper cathode, traditional route for the copper cathode from the Katanga province goes out, is the port of Durban. Dar es Salaam is actually about 1,000 kilometres shorter in distance, so it's the most logical route for us. There's multiple ways of us to be able to get there, so part of the study coming up will be to investigate that further. Following on from the scoping study that we've just completed, we're fine-tuning those costings, and we're looking to potentially increase the benefit to us for lowering those costs. With the upcoming feasibility study, we will be spending a bit of time and effort onto the work that's involved in that transport route.
Okay, so this is one aspect of all the work you're doing. We already talked, or you already mentioned that you are envisioning or looking at higher production scenarios with 5 and 10 million tons a year, and then for scoping studies, and then going to the DFS. So, can you explain again what will you be doing in the DFS that will not be in the scoping studies, or the difference there?
Yes, certainly the scoping study is very much the first phase of finding out whether the project's economic or not, and I think we've established that it is, very much so. The figures are quite outstanding. The definitive feasibility study that we're entering into will be a much more detailed document. So we'll be able to refine it, the costs and the parameters that we're being used. We'll be able to decide which methodology we're going to be using to treat the ore to produce the concentrate, and how many tonnes, what throughput we'll be utilising. It could be 5 million tonnes, it could be 10 million tonnes, or it might be a mixture in between. The level of confidence that you have in a definitive feasibility study is much higher. So the comparison is basically you have inferred resources as opposed to measured resources. Much higher confidence level in the measured resources as you do with the definitive feasibility study, which should be, I believe, to about a plus or minus 10%. So a much more detailed document that gives a lot more comfort to investors.
Okay, thank you very much. So you're working on that. You didn't stop drilling. I think you just put out some great results last week, end of last week. The work goes on. What was that drilling for?
Yes, you're right. The drill results just continue to come through. Multiple 100 meters of intercepts with grades of 1.5% and above, or 1.4% and above. The history there is that we have 4 drill rigs on site operating at the moment. We have been drilling the resource drilling at Roche d'Or. So the first resource was calculated on only 31 drill holes from 42 drill holes completed at that stage. And that's primarily because 31 drill holes had the assay data for them. We had 42 drill holes with geological information, so we could constrain the geological model, but we only had 31 drill holes with assays. So we presently, I think we've drilled 75 holes, of which 65 we have assays. So over the next 3 weeks or so, we'll be rerunning the resource to hopefully upgrade the total tonnages, but more importantly, to upgrade the categories. So we're hoping for a much bigger measured resource and a much bigger indicated resource, because they're the 2 categories that go forward into the mining ore reserves of proven and probable.
Okay, thank you very much. So let's assume everything goes as planned. Well, it's mining, mostly it doesn't, but let's assume everything goes as planned. Where do you think AVZ will be with Manono at the end of this year and let's say 6 months from then?
Well, in approximately 3 months' time, we should have the 5 million tonne and 10 million tonne studies will be completed. We'll have updates to the JORC statements as well, and we will have all of the met test work. As I said, we're continuing to work on the drilling, and part of that drilling is to collect metallurgical samples for test work to see how we're going to recover, what we can recover from the project. So they're coming out. We will have the DFS, which is the next logical step for us to move forward. We look to bring on a strategic partner in the company, given the size and the opportunity that Manono presents, its tier 1 status, which is undisputed, and the fact that the Manono deposit is becoming very well known in the marketplace. As part of the scoping study, we did put out a time schedule for bringing the project into development as quickly as possible, and we're looking to commission the plant in Q2 of 2020. Some of the aspects of the feasibility study will actually interrogate further the credits that we're potentially going to be able to get from the byproducts we have. It's not just the spodumene that we'll be mining. We have a significant credit for tin with 220,000 tonnes of tin already defined in resource. And at $19,000 a tonne, tin's obviously going to provide a good benefit to the bottom line. We hope it will offset a significant portion of the mining or transport costs. So the definitive feasibility study will take care of finding out about that as well.
Okay, that sounds very good. Yes, the tin results have been coming in steadily too. Now, in spite of all that, the company's share price has been under pressure like a lot of lithium stocks in recent weeks and months, let's say. 2018 hasn't been really the year for lithium miners and explorers as it has been before. What is your take on the state of the sector? Do you see supply catching up with demand anytime soon?
Well, we believe that AVZ has moved in line with the broader lithium sector. We do remain very positive on the battery metals thematics and continue to see very positive support policies being put in place with regard to EVs, electric vehicles, with actual demand for those vehicles continuing to exceed expectations. I think you can see that across the board. That would be to say that these price levels we are seeing increased level of investor interest in the company is undisputed as well. We've taken lots of interesting phone calls over the last few months. But that to me just represents a good value for an investor to come into the company. So yeah, we're very positive on the lithium sector. We think that 2019 will show a marked increase once everything normalizes and we get back to demand and people start understanding the sector in more detail.
Okay, thank you very much. We are certainly looking forward to hearing more, and we'll be talking at the latest when you put out the next scoping study and or, of course, the DFS. Thank you very much.
It's a pleasure. Thank you very much.